Today my lips match my shirt, and things really just don't get much better than that. Today my shirt is Labyrinth, as you can see, because we are going to talk about a book that was kind of odd and a little bit off. Aiming my shot a little bit here, how's this? We'll see. So, as is made obvious by the title card that you no doubt read, we are here to talk about a book called Wink Poppy Midnight. A book about which I knew nothing going in. Aside from the blurb on the back, I had no idea what was in store for me with this book. I have to say that this cover is probably the worst cover that I've seen in a while for revealing what a book is going to be about, or even like the tone. This cover looks like it's going to be a fantasy story, and it is something else. I'm not really sure what to call it. So here's the thing about Wink Poppy Midnight. It is an odd book. Odd. It also has the distinction of being a book that made me simultaneously really want to keep reading and also so bored that I wanted to set it down. Very strange that way. You know what else is strange? Jane. He's strange but soft. Now he's on my lap, where you can't see him. So the thing about Wink Poppy Midnight is that everything in it felt sort of intense, amplified, and eerie. It felt like it was a story out of time and place. I had no idea what time period it was set in, presumably sort of modern time, but not so much that things like cell phones were mentioned, I don't think, ever, so it really could have taken place in any number of time periods. Logic is not something that you should look for a lot in this book. This book is all about the concept. This is a concept book. All of our three main characters, Wink, Poppy, and Midnight, are concepts of characters. Even though this book, one of the themes is supposed to be that nobody is who they seem, they kind of are, and they're all very over-the-top versions of that character. Even when we find out at the end that yeah, some people aren't what they seem, it still felt like they were archetypes rather than people. For this book, I think it kind of worked, and I didn't really mind that part about this book. The atmosphere of this book was also pretty engaging. It drew me in. It had this, like I said, eerie, otherworldly, sort of one dimension over from ours kind of feel to it. Unfortunately, what made me keep wanting to set this book down was that it was really quite boring a lot of the time. We spend time with all three characters, but mostly it's to listen to them talk about each other or wax philosophical. The actual story part with the sort of middle and end doesn't happen until well into the book. Fortunately, it's a short book, so you don't have to work as hard to get to that, but still, there were many places at the beginning of the book where I was like, is there gonna be a story somewhere in here? Especially since another one of the themes of this book is creating your own story, creating the narrative in your life that is the way that you want it to go. Okay, that's cool, but then shouldn't we perhaps have some narrative? All three characters, as I said, feel a lot more like archetypes than anything else. Honestly, Poppy was my favorite point of view to read from. I know we're supposed to hate her because she is the quintessential mean, bully character. I'm pretty sure she was a psychopath, incapable of feeling empathy. In fact, I was reading her that way and I'm like, no, this all makes sense if she's a psychopath, and I actually dug reading as her character because sometimes you just want to be in the head of a total raging bitch. Every now and then it just feels good. The character I liked the least was Midnight. He was sort of the nice guy archetype, the poor beleaguered man who is in the clutches of these manipulative women, and he just wants to love. That was another one of my major problems with this book. Whether it meant to or not, it was perpetuating this sort of stereotype thing that does still go around, this notion that some people have, let's be honest, that some men have, that they are just innocents in all of this, and women are these manipulative, evil people who are just cruelly manipulating these poor innocent men. Now, I'm not saying there aren't manipulative women out there, but overall we are not that. And I wasn't a big fan of that element in this story. In fact, it was one of my least favorite things. The last thing that I really didn't like was because we were going back and forth between the three characters pretty evenly, there was a certain point where I felt one of the characters should have been dropped to keep the story more mysterious and more engaging. The fact that we were still hearing from the point of view of one of these characters made me more frustrated than anything else. With this extra character going on, it felt like the author was just trying to mess with you. It felt like you were also being messed with the same way that Midnight was being messed with, except for unlike him, you know you're being messed with and you're kind of sick of that shit and you're just like, can we just please get on with the story? Just tell me what's going on. I know you're trying to mess with me and make me think, whoa, what if it's this? What if it's this? Just don't fucking come at me with that. Isn't that right, Jane? Yes, Jane agrees. He's also gonna put a hole in my shirt with his claws. So guys, any of you out there read Wink Poppy Midnight? What did you think about it? Remember everyone that Jane and I post new videos Mondays and Fridays. All the links are down in the doobly-doo to my social media. Also Jane's down there, so maybe if you click around long enough you can find him. Or if you want to see more of us, Amy and him especially, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you again next time with whatever it is we happen to be doing next time. Bye! I wish you could, I have no way to turn the camera down, but I wish you could see he is like bear hugging my leg and has the biggest cat smile on his face. It is adorable. I have no way to show you, I'm sorry. Bye!